Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, fought back tears as he addressed parents who've lost children due to online harms during an unannounced appearance in Los Angeles. People magazine has the story and we have the video, so let's get started. Thank you so much for clicking on my video, and if you're returning, welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll be discussing an article in People magazine that details an unannounced appearance where Prince Harry gave a very emotional speech. But before we get into that, if you haven't already, please don't forget to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to share so that more people can find us. Once again, this article is in People magazine, written by Janine Henney, and it's titled, Prince Harry Fights Back Tears Addressing Parents Who Lost Children to Social Media. The Duke of Sussex spoke from the heart during the unannounced appearance in Los Angeles. Prince Harry got emotional as he addressed parents who lost children to online harms during an unannounced appearance in Los Angeles. On February 11th, the Duke of Sussex spoke to grieving families who have lodged a legal challenge against Instagram and YouTube, the BBC reported, as a major trial begins to investigate whether the platforms hurt young people's mental health. The Daily Mail reported that Meghan Sussex was with him, though she was not photoed. As seen in a video shared by the BBC Breakfast on February 12th, the father of two appeared to fight back tears as he told families, quote, "None of you should be here," and referenced his own emotional experiences in courtrooms. In January, Prince Harry testified against the publisher of the Daily Mail in London court in a lawsuit accusing the group of unlawful information gathering, his last in a series of lawsuits against various British tabloids in recent years. King Charles's younger son spoke from the heart on Wednesday night in LA and said, "We've said time and time again that this is a David versus Goliath situation. I've been in some similar situations myself, vastly different, but when you're sitting in court and if you have that feeling of just overwhelming emotion because you can't believe that the people on the other side are saying what they're saying, that by the very nature of defending what they're defending, the lies that they are stating is devaluing life, is devaluing your children's lives. If that brings stuff up for you, it is totally normal. Do not feel ashamed. Do not feel concerned, even if the judge, as I heard, turned around and asked you not to show emotion. As I said, none of you should be here," Prince Harry said, appearing to fight back tears as his voice cracked. "Sorry. Thank you for doing everything that you've done. Thank you for telling your stories over and over again. Truth, justice, and accountability. Those are the three things that will come from this," he said. According to the Daily Mail, Prince Harry joined British families who traveled to California to support the start of the case. Opening statements began this week in Los Angeles County Superior Court as Meta-backed Instagram and YouTube, owned by Google, respond to claims that their sites deliberately addict and harm children, the Associated Press reported. Fellow social platforms TikTok and Snap were originally named in the lawsuit but settled for undisclosed sums. The Los Angeles Times said that the case has the potential to shape thousands of other pending lawsuits, transforming the legal landscape for some of the world's most powerful companies. Instagram head Adam Mosseri testified on February 11th, and Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg is expected to testify next week. Prince Harry and Meghan have made advocating for a safer online world a key focus of their philanthropic work and emphasized the significance of the case in a new statement shared to their Sussex.com website. Quote, "Through their philanthropic efforts in the online harm space spanning 6 years of dedicated learning, listening, and advocacy, Prince Harry and Meghan today recognize the pivotal moment taking place this week as it pertains to families seeking truth, justice, and safeguards for children and communities around the world," the statement from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex began. "Families devastated by online harm have waited too long for this moment. Our growing community of the Parents Network have lived through the horrific consequences of cyberbullying, algorithm-driven manipulation, and worse. They, as well as whistleblowers, have told us for years that platforms prioritize engagement over safety. This week, social media companies are starting to face accountability across the world." The statement went on, in part, and discussed the jury trial in Los Angeles, plus other updates in Spain, Australia, France, and Denmark relating to increased restrictions on social media use for youth. Meghan has previously spoken about how online noise has affected her mental health, and she and Harry began the Parents Network in 2022. The initiative gathered a community of families in the U.S. who lost a child to social media-driven suicide or whose children have struggled because of the platforms online. The Parents Network has since expanded to the US and Canada, and it was announced in January that the couple transferred the project to the nonprofit Parents Together. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex made the move amid a transition of operations at their charitable Archewell Foundation, now called Archewell Philanthropies. People understand that they are expected to remain involved with the Parents Network in some capacity, though no formal decisions about their roles have been finalized.
None of you should be here. So, thank you for doing everything that you've done. Thank you for telling your stories over and over again. Truth, justice, and accountability. Those are the three things that will come from this. None of you should be here.
Thank you so much for watching the SharionSade YouTube channel. I appreciate you watching my content. If you haven't already, please don't forget to go ahead and like this video by hitting the thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. And don't forget to comment along the way. If you feel so inclined, please don't forget to share so that more people can find us. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Now let's get back to the video. So I went to Sussex.com to get more details. I feel like the article gave a great summary, but it definitely skipped over what other countries were doing to advance online safety. And so reading from Sussex.com, it says, in Los Angeles, Meta and Google faced the first jury trial examining whether social media companies deliberately designed their platforms to addict children. Hundreds of families are bringing similar claims, arguing that features like infinite scroll and manipulative algorithms were built with profits, not child safety, as the priority. Elsewhere, Spain became the latest nation this week to announce plans to hold social media accountable, including requiring social media companies to restrict access for children under 16. This follows Australia's ban on social media for under 16-year-olds, which has been in effect since December. France's National Assembly recently approved an under-15 ban, and Denmark announced a cross-party agreement last November for the same age limit. Final legislation in both countries is expected this year. While bans do not solve the broken design innate to many social media platforms, it does require them and their business models to immediately stop treating young people as entities to extract data from at all costs. We are watching both tracks with cautious optimism. Action from world leaders signals that protecting childhood is a societal responsibility, not just a parental one. Something that has always been a prerequisite for all companies, but not yet these ones. Court cases may finally force platforms to answer for design choices they've long avoided addressing even exist. Enforcement remains complicated. Age verification must work without creating new privacy risks. Young people will seek workarounds. Governments must put safeguards in place, not just on the part of the companies, but on the part of their own duty to human rights and safety. No single country's law solves a global problem. The real test now is whether platforms and all new technology companies will design with children's well-being as a first principle, or whether we'll keep needing governments and courts to force their hand. We invite you to support these brave families and parents who have paid the ultimate cost in losing a child, yet who still stand strong and ready to fight for the rights of their families, championing their efforts as they advocate for the protection of all children online. It's wonderful to see so much progress happening with online safety in other countries. And I love that we are now finally getting our footing here in the US to address some of these companies and their faulty platform designs. I love that Harry and Meghan are staying at the forefront of this, and they're working together with the parents and the families from the Parents Network, as well as Parents Together. I think it's wonderful that they've built a very effective and progressive coalition that is addressing this problem and getting the right people on board to start these conversations, to impact change, and to create progress moving forward. And I love that they're very optimistic, but very cautious and being very honest. We don't know how these things will turn out. All we can do is continue to put information out there, make waves, knock on doors, pick up phones, make our phone calls, advocate, and hope for the best. What's very sad, and I'm very happy they pointed out in their article on Sussex.com, is they're happy to continue to advocate to the government to force the hands of these technology companies. What's sad to me is that they have to. What's sad to me is that, like any other industry, technology is operating basically on a whim. There are very few restrictions. And that's insane to me, considering, above all else, technology is in everyone's home. It's the only industry that is absolutely everywhere, in front of everyone, all at once. It should absolutely be regulated. And it's insane to me that there even needs to be advocacy for human safety in this space or any other space. At the end of the day, if you are creating something or making something, it will likely be used by a human. How is human safety not the number one priority with all things in every industry? It stresses me out to a certain extent, because the people building these software programs and these apps and these platforms, they're considered to be the world's geniuses. They're considered to be the smartest people in the world. People break their backs to get a Google internship. People work very hard to work for these platforms. So these are considered the smartest people in the world, or at least in their respective countries. And human design and safety isn't something that crossed any of your brilliant genius minds. I mean, the basics of, we're making this for human use, so let's make sure it doesn't harm a human of any age. And for the humans who are not of age to use this program, why don't we protect them from it? And then I hear the argument about personal responsibility. Well, regulations aren't fair because then that oversteps personal responsibility. We should all know if our kids are using an app or a platform and blah, blah, blah. In a perfect world, yes. In a perfect world, every child would have a caregiver who cared about them and was responsible enough and smart enough and cutting edge enough and was a technological genius enough to know all of the potential pitfalls of every single thing they use or are exposed to. But since we live in a real world, we have to admit children have access to technology and they understand technology younger and younger and younger every day. And there are things that they access that look kid-friendly that may not be so kid-friendly, and it may get past a parent's supervision. And again, in a perfect world, every kid would have a caring and responsible caregiver. But unfortunately for us, that is not the case. There are some children out here who live with siblings. There are some children out here who are making it on their own. There are some children out here going from foster home to foster home. There's some kids out here who live with their parents, but they could give a damn about them. There are some kids out here without dedicated, motivated, and responsible caregivers. That should be all the more reason regulations operate as a catch-all for the kids who don't have dedicated caregivers who are going to pay attention and notice those things and protect them from themselves and protect them from the harms that technology could bring about. There should be regulations that make sure no matter what your home life looks like, no matter what privileges or pitfalls you experience day to day, we are not bringing excess harm in your home or in front of you in any capacity, because what we are making is for human use. Not for the perfect genius with the perfect household, with the perfect caregivers, with the perfect understanding of all technological advances and know how to get around these things. We shouldn't have to rely on personal responsibility to protect us from geniuses. I feel like because the people making this software and the people who are creating these platforms and creating these apps are considered to be geniuses, human use and safety should cross somebody's genius brain. It shouldn't take royalty. My God, it took 2 royal family members to say, hey, could you stop trying to kill people with your algorithm? If 2 people who do not work in the technology space and who have other things that they have been consuming themselves with, they have a whole world that they have to get to saving. If those 2 people who have all these other responsibilities had to pause and say, did you not consider not killing people with your app? Certainly you could have. Certainly you, who has nothing to do but focus on making these apps, but focus on safeguarding these apps, but focus on getting these apps out there and the algorithm and how humans are using it. You can track all the performance and the metrics and the trends and all that. You can track everything in the whole wide world, but safety isn't your top priority? How is that even possible? Before you put anything out into the world for mass production, safety should be first, I would think. I'll give a very small example, just as a microcosm of what I'm seeing in this. My niece and nephew, y'all know I'm not a parent. I'm a dog mom. But my niece and nephew sometimes visit me. Very rarely, but sometimes they come over and see their old Annie. I live with my husband and my 2 dogs. So there are certain things that I do every day, that I use every day, that I don't even think twice about, because the only people who have access to these things are 2 conscious adults. So before my niece and nephew come through or come over, I walk through my home and I look for any and everything that I might need to put up on a high shelf that I use every day because I'm a conscious adult that maybe they shouldn't have access to, or I need to acquire a kid-friendly version of said things. For example, I have candles all over my home. I put them away, and when my niece and nephew come over, I pull out the electric candles with the little button, or the battery-operated candles with the little button. So if they want the candle light, they can use it. If they want a scented candle, they can use it with one of the scented candle covers that protects flames from hopping out or being accessible. And it creates a pretty glow, but it's safe for the home. Hopefully you don't, but should you walk out and forget to blow out your candle, it will eventually blow out your candle for you so that it saves you from the home. I put those types of things out just to be safe. My knives, I cook a lot, so I have a lot of beautiful ceramic, very sharp knives. When my niece and nephew come, I put them up into a very high cabinet and I put down the butter knives that are blunt and easy for them to use to cut a sandwich or make a spread or what have you. But they have things that they can use and they have access to things that will be okay for them to use, even if I'm not available, so that they are safe. The reason I bring that up is because in my everyday life, I don't have to make those decisions. But when they come, I have to think twice about it. This is not my everyday thing. But if I were to go in the home of their mother or their father, or you, if you have children, if I were to come into your home, these things would seem like, well, duh. I'm pretty sure you have your sharp things in a permanent spot in the high cabinets behind the door because you do this every day. This is your life. This is who you are at this point. You always consider whether or not what you are doing or what you've acquired or what you're putting out is safe for your children. For people like myself who don't have kids, I have to pause and think. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I can't imagine working in a field of work like technology, knowing that the platforms and the apps and software that I'm creating will be made for human use. And at no point did I pause and say, should we restrict what ages have access to this? Should we restrict how this is used? Should we put in safeguards? Because above all else, no matter how much entertainment or convenience this app or this software creates, safety should not be compromised. And since this is what I do all day, every day, the safety aspect should very well be a, well, duh. And it shouldn't take someone coming in from the outside to say, I know this is what you do all day, and I know you're a genius in this field, but at some point, do you plan on protecting people who use this? It shouldn't take an outsider saying that. As a matter of fact, that should be the first priority of anyone working with these companies. It shouldn't take the government to come in and restrict them, but I do think the government should always regulate industries. Now that I do, at least where safety is concerned. Anyway, I love to see that Harry and Meghan are still working in this space. They're making so much ground. They're breaking so much ground. They're making so much progress. And I hope to see it continue on. This is an incredible lane for them to work in. They have personal experience with the dangers of the internet. They are also parents. They also work with a lot of people who are, clearly they work with some whistleblowers, as they stated in their statement, but they also work with some of these companies and they're very aware. I think they are the perfect people to be leading the charge against this. And hopefully this work is short-lived because we'll make the progress needed, because all of this is common sense. It shouldn't take two members of the royal family to say, could you stop killing people with your internet algorithms? Thanks. I feel like it makes the people who create these designs to look very stupid. I think it makes them look very stupid. I think it makes them look outright evil. And I think the fact that they even need someone to advocate for safety of human beings, I don't think they should be able to work and have access to anything that's mass produced, in my opinion. If you've shown an indifference to human safety, you should not work in an industry that has access to the public, to the general public. What you make and what you do should not access other people until you are shown to be safe. And it doesn't seem like they're safe people to be doing the work that they're doing. So hopefully these lawsuits, hopefully this progress in government in other countries, hopefully these things come together to create progress everywhere. And I will absolutely keep my thumb on the pulse of this. You guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. So that's all I have for y'all today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you haven't already, please don't forget to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to share so that more people can find us. And I will see y'all next time. Bye.